Namaste. This is just a brief overview of Indic Academy and what are the various activities that Indic Academy is doing, what it has done for the last 3 years, and what it proposes to do over the next few years, or sorry, going forward. Just an informal chat and conversation I'm having with Dimple Call, and she will interject once in a while to ask me a few questions. Dimple, are you ready?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Thank you. You might want to mute your side because it's making some sound.
1 second. I am.
Thank you. So, Indic Academy has been set up in the year 2015 in April, 2nd of April 2015. It's registered as a trust in Hyderabad, and Mr. K. Arvindrao and myself are the trustees for Indic Academy. Now, what exactly does Indic Academy seek to do? It is seeking to build a renaissance, an intellectual, cultural, and spiritual renaissance that is based on Indic civilizational thought. And it is seeking to transform public intellectuals into thought leaders, and from thought leaders into social entrepreneurs. And it is seeking to invest on incubate platforms that deliver products, services, and experiences that is based on Indic civilizational thought. Now the question arises, what is Indic and what is Indic civilizational thought? Now, Indic is defined as a person who celebrates the Indian civilizational continuity, identity, and thought. So a simple definition would be that if you believe that India is a construct of 1947 and a British construct, then you're not an Indic. But if you believe that India is a civilization, several thousands of years, and then there's continuity in that civilization, and you're proud of that heritage, you're proud of the identity, then you're an Indic. Now, what is Indic civilizational thought? Indic civilizational thought is something which is non-dogmatic, non-exclusivist, non-predatory, and non-violent. It also helps, it is diverse and plural, and it's self-reforming and adaptive. It helps an individual nurture and express himself. It's also, it's perhaps the only system that offers a structured and systematic approach to spiritual growth and happiness. And what is it of importance today is that it offers ideas and solutions for individual health, well-being, for peace, and for sustainability. So that is Indic civilizational thought. So when somebody asks you what is Indic and what is Indic civilizational thought, these are the basic things. You could have your own additions to this founding definition of both Indic thought and Indic as a definition. Now, who is a thought leader or who is a social entrepreneur, and what exactly and how we are trying to do that is that any public intellectual, largely this is targeted at a public intellectual who is expressing himself on Twitter, social media, and who's writing, and who is typically from non-humanities background and who's now discovered or wants to reconnect back to his past. So that's the target consumer or target audience for Indic Academy. And what we are trying to do is provide interventions for that person to transform himself from a public intellectual into a thought leader. And from that thought leadership, he can transform himself into a social entrepreneur. And this is a very important transformation of being a social entrepreneur, because if you think like an entrepreneur, and if you think that you are a social entrepreneur, then you would think of delivering something, some product or service or an experience that is based on Indic civilization thought. So to define what Indic Academy is a grant-giving organization at one level. It is also an academic institution which teaches or provides, so it's a skill development corporation, or it's an academic institution that provides coaches, that provides courses and programs. And lastly, it's also an incubator. So it incubates networks and platforms. So it incubates by encouraging people to come together. It also invests and develops platforms. So we'll just go through these three distinct activities of grant giving, training, as well as incubation. So these are the three different verticals, so to speak, or strategic units, so to speak. Now, if you're talking about grant giving, the way we look at grant giving is to scholars as well as public intellectuals. Scholarship is primarily for people who are involved in Sanskrit and Indology studies, and we encourage people to, if you need scholarship support to join any course, we give grants. So the way we look at this particular activity is we trying to develop relationships with various universities. We have 2 universities with whom we have a formal tie-up. We have a tie-up with Sanchi University. We have a tie-up with Chinmaya Vishwavidyapith, wherein we have promised that we will support up to 6 students a year. Sanchi University, we have already supported 6 students. Chinmaya Vishwavidyapith has just commenced, and we have supported 2 students. These are the traditional universities, but they're also a unique system called Tenali exam, where it's a Gurukul system, where they all come for semester exams to Tenali, and the exams are conducted there. But actually, the teaching happens in the Guru's house, where the Shishya lives with the Guru, and the teaching happens there. So we are right now supporting 39 students in this Tenali exam, and there's a formal MOU with the Kanchi Mutt. So that's how we look at scholarship between traditional students as well as the non-traditional students in the university regime. We also have tie-ups where we're starting a new initiative where we are starting tie-ups with family endowments, wherein we manage, they can grant us an endowment and we manage that endowment, and we give grants from that endowment. So we have signed up through the good offices of Mr. D.V. Sridharan, DP Santanam Fund. So we are trying to do endowment relationships also. So basically the idea is to look at scale. The whole purpose is to be proactive rather than reactive. So even scholarships, typically a grant giving organization reacts to applications. We are trying to be proactive and tie up with multiple institutions and then reach out to their audiences. So at that way, we are like a fund of funds, so to speak. Apart from that, we are also giving grants to public intellectuals who are looking at writing books, research, or attending conferences and seminars. We have recently given grants to 8 scholars to attend the World Sanskrit Conference. So travel grants for people to go to different places, that's an important initiative. We are also giving grants to as like a fellowship, instead of a one-time fellowship, a year-round fellowship for people to do research, travel, and we have given several grants there. And we are looking at a new initiative called the publishing grants, where you have written a book and then you're publishing it on Kindle, but you want to have a hard copy and see that it's available in some bookstores. So we are giving grants to public intellectuals who have written books and who have self-published. So we have a tie-up with Garuda, and we have a tie-up with Notion Press for this purpose. And we also giving grants to institutions which are conducting events. So basically, a lot of institutions themselves are conducting events. They would require some sponsorship help. So we have done that to several third party and independent institutions that approach us for sponsorship. And lastly, we also are giving grants for projects, whether it's construction of a school block or whether it's digitization of manuscripts. It could be any kind of a project which is a one-time affair. Like, for example, we have given a grant for making a documentary on the Kumbh Mela. And so those are one-time projects. So this is how we look at grants in terms of research, in terms of publishing, in terms of events, and in terms of projects. So scholarships and grants, that's one initiative as a grant-giving organization. We also are, as I mentioned, a training institute or a training institution. And we don't have a physical campus yet, but we are trying to look at conducting periodic workshops. We have done workshops with various scholars on Mahabharata, on Bhagavatam. We are currently looking at doing a workshop on Vada. It's a book written by Vallabh Tripathi. So these are workshops conducted either with an institution or at a retreat. Eventually, we are planning to launch a long-term course called the Indic Executive Coaching Program. And this is going to be a sort of a flagship coaching program. Globally, executive coaching is a very big trend. Most of the large corporations look at coaching. And we want to create a coaching program which is very unique. It's not been done before, which is based on authentic Indic wisdom. Most of the coaches today offer Indic wisdom without acknowledgement or they just take a few pieces and then offer that. What we are trying to do is offer an authentic Indic wisdom program which contains Gita, which contains the essence of the Upanishads, Buddhism and Jainism, Natya Shastra, environment, ethical dilemmas from the Itihasas, which an executive would face. So we're in the process of designing this. So this would be a sort of a 14-month program that we are proposing to launch, where targeted at the 40-year-old corporate executive who is looking for a mid-career change and who wants to reconnect back to his past and then do something about it. So he can take, it'll be a on and off kind of a program. So that's the flagship program that we're working on. We're hoping to launch it in 2019. So apart from courses and programs, which is the second vertical that we have, the third vertical and the most interesting vertical is the incubation that we're doing. We incubate two things. One is networks, and we also are incubating different platforms. So as networks, we are encouraging people of a different interests to come together to connect, cooperate, and collaborate. And so that's the broad vision for nurturing these networks. For example, we look at networks in two forms. One is a domain-specific network, and one is a horizontal network. So the horizontal network, it's a multi-city, multi-global network. In India now, we are got conveners in different cities in almost, I think, about 12 cities. And we are active in US, in more than 10 cities again, in Europe. So these are where the local community gets together. There's a convener. And we are a platform for authors and academics to express themselves. So therefore, what we are doing is that an academic or an author gets an opportunity to, the convener organizes a meeting and he expresses, he gets an opportunity to express what he has learned or about his book. This is unique in the sense that this is like a mini TEDx, if you're familiar with that. It's like that. or it's also like a Rotary Club of sorts, wherein chapters are coming up across. And what at the central level, what we are doing is we are coordinating with the academics and authors, and saying that wherever you're traveling, we can arrange for it. So we provide the logistical effort, and the local convener coordinates and arranges for the meeting. So this is the global network that's emerging. We also have an author network, which is the domain verticals that we're talking about. And this domain is specific. So some people are interested in writing, some people are interested in economics, some people are interested in fundraising. So we have currently 3 domain verticals that are active. One is Indic Activist Network, where we are trying to bring together all the NGOs that we have vetted and we have gone through and done a due diligence. And we put in money, Indic Academy puts in money. We have some institutional and individual high net worth individuals who are also contributing. And then we raise a public appeal. So that's what Indic Activist Network does. Indic Author Network is another network which is of authors who are published authors, and they share their experiences on how to go about writing or talking to the publishers, marketing. So these are the issues that an author typically faces. And this Indic Author Network is very vibrant, and we are looking at doing 2 things. One, to hold a retreat for authors to plan what kind of themes that can come up with. And also we are trying to do a Lit Fest sometime in October. So these are the 2 initiatives, apart from the fact that the author network interacts with one another. So there's a lot of engagement within the author network, wherein there's a collaboration, there's an exchange of ideas, and it's very, very vibrant. And one of the things that we are also doing, and we have done almost 33 online chats, we call it Indic chats. And this is again a platform for authors to express themselves and reach out. And the difference is that because we promote this on Facebook and Twitter, there's a larger audience that he or she can reach out to. In the last, we've started having these physical meetings from July 15th of 2016. So since then, it's probably going to be, in 2 months' time, it's going to be 2 years. So we have done almost 160 events, both online and offline. Online, as I mentioned, we have done about 33 events, and offline, the balance. And these are like talks or conversations or book launches. And these are, like I said, it's almost 25 cities across the world. We also have Indic Economic Network, wherein we had 1 meeting in Bangalore. And these are policymakers and people interested in finance and economics. And we have an online vibrant group that is headed by Anand Nageshwaran. And these are the networks. We are going to nurture an Indic Angels network, which is in the form of the high net worth individuals who are interested in investing in social enterprises. And Indic Mentor Network is the other network that we are trying to nurture. Apart from this, we are developing and investing in platforms which are a means to which address one particular aspect of this effort. Totally, there are 6 platforms at this point that we're working on. One is Indic Book Club, which is going to be an equivalent of Goodreads, which is basically focused on that all books on our past should be read, and all authors who celebrate our civilization, either through their writing or in their lives, should be read and promoted. So that's the basic vision of this. This platform is going to be, the beta version is going to be launched in the next week. And it's going to be a global community of readers. And so idea is to encourage reading, and ultimately the renaissance can happen only if you read books and then express yourself. So this is all about books. But one aspect is that we are looking at a Blinkist kind of a thing, wherein we want to make summaries of important books that are published in regional languages, and then and have them in English, so that translating a regional book language book into English might take some time, but at least the summary is there, an executive summary is there, and we want to promote that. So it would be something like a Blinkist kind of a platform too. So eventually that's what we want to get to. We are also looking at Indic knowledge systems and making a program like Udemy or EDX or Coursera, wherein all universities that are offering Indic knowledge system courses can be housed on this neutral platform called Indic knowledge systems. And then we promote IKS as a neutral brand, and then have this as a collaboration of all the universities and scholars, so that IKS itself is promoted and goes out into because individually you might create a course, but reaching out to the market, you might not have the resources to reach out to the market. So this idea is to have this IKS as a common brand for all the individual institutions and scholars. We're also trying to, in that, have subject-wise Khan Academy kind of a module. So this is under development right now, and we would probably have a beta version in July 15th or so. In that region, we'll have a beta version. We have Indic Today as a platform. Indic Today is a platform to have showcase all the events and all these, and also promote long form writing. And it's going to be a platform that showcases all the work of all the academics and authors and artists and activists of Indic Academy. So that's the online platform. And we have a platform called Creative India, which goes back to the Renaissance. Has to be not just unlike the Renaissance in the West, where it was focused on the cultural aspects. Indic Renaissance has to be more wholesome, in the sense that there is a need for an intellectual renaissance as well as cultural and spiritual. So therefore, we have a platform called Advaita Academy, which was initially focused on promoting Advaita Vedanta, but now is focused on any form of Indic spirituality. So that's the platform where right now we have more than 5,700 and odd videos from teachers all over the world. So there's a teacher from Hawaii, Oregon, Washington, London, different parts of the world in India. And we have, like I said, more than 5,700 videos are there with 2 million 2 million views on YouTube. And we have Creative India Academy, which is a platform for making documentaries on our art and culture. We have started with the short videos, 3-minute videos, and we have done about 80 videos so far. And Swaraja is our publishing partner. And these videos are showcasing different aspects of our art and culture across, whether it's a monument or as a festival, or it could be craft. So different themes we pick up and then produce this for WhatsApp and sharing it on WhatsApp. And lastly, we have a new initiative called Indic Festivals, which is basically we need to celebrate our civilization. So celebrating our civilization is through a festival, through an event. And we have curated last year the Indic Thoughts Festival, which is a pioneering concept. And since then, we have started Indic Festival as a separate platform. The idea is to curate, collaborate, and celebrate our civilization. And recently we did Indic Teen Fest in collaboration with Gateway Foundation, which targeted at the teenagers, and more than 300 students participated, and it was a runaway success. The theme was ancient wisdom, modern insights, and future dreams. And there were several speakers who were rooted in authentic Indic wisdom who gave talks. But that was not all. There were contemporary speakers, and there were also speakers from technology. So it was a combination of all the three. We're now planning a Lit Fest in sometime in October or so, focused again on promoting Indic authors. Dimple Call who's head of Indic Authors Network. She's curating it. And we're also collaborating with Makaran Paranjpe for a festival in Pondicherry called Bharat Shakti. So we're looking at partnering with others or curating on our own and simply celebrating. So that's an important aspect. So these are the 6 platforms that we are currently promoting. Abhinav Agarwal is is a curator for Indic Book Club. He is passionate about books. Then Yogini Deshpande is the editor for Indic Today. She's passionate about writing and passionate about the digital platform. And Nitin Sridhar is curator for Advaita Academy, and Gayatri Iyer for Creative India. So that's on platforms. We also have this concept called affiliate program, wherein we have, if we are giving a grant, meaningful grant, or if you just want to collaborate with some other organization, wherein we have some kind of a say in the strategy or some kind of participation, then we adopt them as affiliates for Indic Academy. And this could be a financial collaboration, or this could be simply as a strategic collaboration. So we have a collaboration, for example, with Thambara, started by Seshi and Raghu. So we have a collaboration with them. We have a collaboration with Vedavapi Foundation. So these are kind of relationships that we are trying to build, wherein we can seek to collaborate with other institutions and promote our wisdom. So this is the broad framework. So to recap, we are seeking to build Indic Renaissance. We are seeking to transform public intellectuals into thought leaders and social entrepreneurs. We incubate, we invest in platforms and networks. We look at our activities into 3 distinct categories. Grant giving organizations, so we give grants to scholars, both traditional and university regime. And we give grants to public intellectuals for research, for publishing. We give grants to other organizations for events, and we give grants to other organizations for doing projects or taking up any heritage or preservation projects. We do courses and programs, workshops, and our long-term flagship program is Indic Executive Coaching Program. And we're incubating networks and platforms. There are 6 networks, of which 3 are very active. Indic Author Network, which Dimple is heading, Indic Economic Network, and in the Indic Global Network, which Vipul and Avtans are country heads for US and India. And platforms are 6 platforms: Creative India, Advaita Academy, Indic Festivals, Indic Knowledge Systems, and Indic Today and Indic Book Club. So this is broadly the areas. And So now what kind of plans are there? Now we are trying to get an app and focus on creating multiple chapters in India and the world. Become a clearinghouse. So next 6 months would be to become a sort of a clearinghouse for any travel by any academic anywhere in the world. We come to know of it and we can quickly organize it, organize an event. The way we look at is that it could be a community event, it could be an event in the universities, it could be an event in a school. So these are the three platforms in which we can allow the academics to or authors to talk. For example, Professor Pankaj Jain from US is coming, and he's giving he's going on a tour to almost 18 universities in India within a span of 3 weeks. And this is all possible because we're coordinating and making it happen. So this is going to be a very interesting time for all scholars traveling across the world. When we come to know their schedule and the diary, we can immediately call our city conveners and then organize a talk. So hopefully this quarter alone, we've done more than 35. We'll be doing about 35. So that's the exponential growth that's happening as far as just talks is concerned. Grant giving and of course courses and programs would be more. Courses and programs, the flagship program has to be worked out, so that we are planning to launch in 2019. So any questions, glad to take them. Thank you, Dimple, for listening.
Thank you, Hariji. That was very interesting, and I think it was really needed because as you rightly said, we have been growing exponentially from 2015 till date. And essentially from 2017 onwards, the growth has been really phenomenal. And sometimes, when it's like we are on a treadmill and we are constantly running on it, but we sometimes need to pause and see whether we need to run at that pace, increase the momentum or not. So have you thought, now that you rightly shared the names of people who are responsible for whatever part, platform, program, etc. So are you thinking of actually formally involving all the stakeholders so that they can get aligned with your vision? So for example, you would expect Indic knowledge systems to do something. So whosoever is involved in it should know that this is what your overall vision is. And then the two of you would have discussed and come out with a vision that can be shared with the entire IA team, so that people who are not even directly involved are aware that if there's something that is related to this particular part of IA, so this is where they have to go. This is what they cannot do. For example, I'm sharing my own personal example. So I have been given the responsibility of volunteering for IAN, let's just say. So the authors who are in Indic Author Network, I haven't yet given them any idea about what IAN per se means, besides being a Twitter DM group. And obviously the authors, when they're not aligned with what we want to do with the whole project, they might, in their own enthusiasm, come up with certain ideas which might not really be aligned with where we actually want to take it. So for example, if we want to run at 100 kilometers per hour, and the author comes with an idea which is able to take us to 50, so it is well within my right to say that probably we should not do it now, let's do something else. But the fact that I haven't actually shared the vision, or you haven't shared it with them, it makes things a little difficult. The point I'm trying to make is that I think we need to at least have this conversation, processes, responsibilities, because now we are not just a body of volunteers, we are an organization, even if it's comprised of volunteers only, but we are an organization and growing. And because we are an organization, we can be flexible, but there have to be certain demarcations so that people know, for this I need to approach XYZ, and so that we become a little more serious, and our delivery times also reduce. Because currently what is happening, a lot of people are doing the same thing, which I think can be avoided if we take a pause. Your views on this?
No, Dimple, thank you so much for this. In fact, this is this conversation, just to take a step back, we didn't have a website till till a month back. So we were just going rapidly, and so to articulate what I just did and put it all in that kind of a framework. Okay, just one more step back. When I started Indic Academy in 2015, this was not, it was just saying, okay, let's start off, because I Indic scholars in Tenali had to be supported, and then public intellectuals. So there was just cloud saying that, okay, let's do this. But the reaction and interaction with people like you and all the other volunteers and actually doing has brought this clarity. So now when somebody says that, what is Indic Academy and what we are standing for, there's so much of clarity. So first and foremost, growth has been like last 2 years, growth has been exponential, and we didn't have, it's all volunteer. So we didn't have time to even do this. So now we have website for Indic today, Indic Academy. Now we're going to have website for Indic Network. And we have this for every vertical, like we have somebody saying that, okay, I'm responsible. This much has been achieved. But roles and responsibilities for all the people, as well as the demarcation, like you rightly said, has not been done yet. This conversation actually has happened because we just, this has happened actually at your provocation, because you said, look, this is time, we talked about it. And I'm glad you did that, and you prodded me into this kind of a engagement. So the time frame, so I agree with you 100%, and I am doing this. Now, what are the deliverables from my side is that once in the next week, we'll have the Indic Network, wherein all the chapters, all the events, everything will be there on that website. So it's an event and all details. So it'll have every chapter, who is the leadership convener, what are the events held by them. So all that. That website is designed, is there, development is happening. Now, once that is done, that's when formal sign up. So like we have discussed formally and saying, okay, Indic Author Network, but other cities, there's no formal, it's like an informal thing. In Pune, for example, Shailendra has been helping, Myresh has been helping, Shafali has been helping. So now formally we need to talk to them and saying that, look, you will be the leadership convener for Pune, and your name will be out there on that website, on Pune chapter's website. This conversation will happen. As you know, Vipul is the national convener for all the chapters, and Avtamji is the national convener for the US. And the conversation will happen with the respective city conveners. And then the website will be up, chapter-wise website will be up. And then we are proposing to have a meeting sometime in July. We were originally planning it in July 7th, but now it could be probably last week of July, or based on the convenience of everybody, wherein the discussion will be in 2 days only this, that every convener will make a presentation on what his or her plans are. And then we clearly define, okay, this is your role, this is the process, these are the steps. If you want a banner, this, if you want to hire this is the budget. So everything will make it as a process driven. So I would expect by 15th August, we would be what you're talking about. And then I would see that it's just a question of maintaining the steps and processes.
Since this video will go, this video will be circulated internally, I just wanted to make it clear that my insistence on processes is because if we have ready-made processes, we can replicate easily, and the scale that we can reach through processes is easier. For example, if we have event guidelines with what is required, what can be done, what cannot be done, how should things be placed, where even a standee should be put, behind the speaker, even minor things like that. Then even somebody does an event in Timbuktu, Vipulji doesn't have to be directly involved. There will be a checklist and that guy can do it on his own. So that is what I wanted to make clear.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, perfectly said. And in the way you've coordinated across all the chapters that have been doing the Urban Excel thing is amazing. And all the points that all the experience that you have gained in terms of where can a screw up happen? And whether it is in terms of standee not being there, suddenly you realize that the backdrop has not been poured or whatever. So we need that kind of a process and checklist for every convener. Yeah, I'm sure with our experience, last 150 events with collective wisdom, and we sit down and thrash it out, a manual of sorts can be prepared.
I feel we can actually rope in the expertise of the younger volunteers in creating the manuals. And that will, for example, Shubham or somebody else from various chapters, people who have not actually been driving an event. If we involve them, then their sense of ownership will increase, and they will also feel more like a part of it. So we could have even when we are meeting, etc., prior to the meeting, we could get some youngsters involved and say that, okay, so Dimple will help you with this particular process. So you have to write the process manual. Somebody else can do something for IBC. This is the vision sheet and this is the navigation, or this is how the readers, if there's a reader manual to be created, perhaps if Avinav is, comfortable, he can take in act as a mentor for a youngster. So then it becomes like, we are not the only whole, and so new crop of volunteers also feels more involved than they are currently, and it also releases the time bandwidth for the existing volunteers.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, in every place, for example, we discovered Vijay Patil, for example, in Mumbai, and like you said, Shubham and Arjun Singh. So in every place, Manosh Sinha. So in every place, we are discovering newer volunteers who are wanting to be involved in the chapters. We have the core that was there from beginning, but now, like you said, a newer set of people are coming, and we should engage with them and involve them in what you're saying.
So you have talked about your journey so far, where we are, Indic Academy, etc. So largely, I have listened to only the pluses. Any learnings in the journey that you have had, learnings that would help us personally?
No, it has been a lot of learnings. I think the way to grow this is to bring a sense of shared vision and shared values. And this is how any large corporations, you're working in large corporations, this is so important and so crucial. And this clarity of thought that when we are part of something, even though it's very informal, then our conduct in any form has an impact. And so therefore we have to have a common sense of purpose. And once that common sense of purpose and common value system comes in, then it's very clear. And that's why that Indic charter that I prepared somebody asked, what is an Indic and who is an Indic and what is an Indic thought? A simple 4 lines and 2 lines on what exactly we stand for. So this is very important. I was earlier a roundtabler, and I come from a family of Rotarians. And what I noticed is only this, that like you said, they have a manual of procedures. Like Rotary has a manual of procedures. A roundtable has a blue book, wherein all that you're talking about is outlined. But it also has the aims and objects, or what does it stand for. And that is what everybody agrees and signs up to. So if this is done, then scale and growth is automatic. So my experience is to get the clarity first on what we stand for and what are the minimum values that we should all engage with or have.
So the 2-day event that you're planning, with the chapter conveners, or I don't know who the participants are going to be, is there going to be some brainstorming on further fine-tuning the definition or the values that we stand for, or what Indic Academy represents, or it will be a dissemination of what you have arrived at, and for them to assimilate that? How do you intend to?
No, I am very much open. So I've just put out something there, and ultimately, like the other day, Yogini tweeted that this is an organization built by volunteers. And I strongly believe that this ownership will come if everybody feels that. So I'm only the enabler who ignited this spark. This is not a personality dependent or personality driven organization. It is driven. You have done, out of the 33 Indic chats, you have done 25. And I have never even called you and said, are you doing this and all? It was self-driven. And what you're doing for Urban Excel is something which is unimaginable. What Vivek says is that if I had somebody to do it, I would have had to pay 1 crore. That's the value of that you brought to this whole thing. So everybody has to feel ownership. And so therefore, the values, the vision, and the thought is there as a draft form. And everybody has to contribute and add to it. So it's not, it's like Indic thought, it's not dogmatic. So we can't have dogma. And it's continuously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you planning to, so you spoke about mentorship and coaching, executive coaching, etc. So are you planning at any point of time to yourself get into conducting such sessions?
I would love to. So one of my resume, one of my things in my bio is that I'm a seeker. So I'm really wanting to. I'm struggling between being an activist, hyperactivist, and also wanting to. You keep seeing my messages. Suddenly, some Advaita Vedanta messages will be coming. I want to do that. Training myself properly in coaching, and I want to coach. Yes, because I feel that the value that I can bring in terms of the entrepreneurial ups and downs that I had in my life, and with a proper training, I can be a good coach. I mean, I expect. I want to be. At least let me state that.
Okay, so what I wanted to suggest is that perhaps you could start with a series, you could do a quarterly or monthly Zoom session with the core team of Indic Academy per se, because I'm sure a lot of us would learn from various aspects, communication, entrepreneurship, delegation, etc., etc. So I think that would be a good way to treat us as guinea pigs, and then you can go out into the world and do it to other people.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for offering to be a guinea pig.
How do you keep yourself invigorated and energized through?
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Dimple.
How do you keep yourself invigorated and energized throughout, considering the humongous amount of work that you are constantly doing? How do you do it? How do you maintain equanimity, and how do you remain so energized?
Now, energize is just it's just a drive. So I don't have a secret sauce for that. But equanimity secret sauce is that is because of my entrepreneurial background. I only have ego by choice. So I enjoy that part of it. You can't afford to be egoistic if you're an entrepreneur. You have to. Customer is king. So or whatever. Bureaucrat is king or whatever.
How do you intend to impart this degree of non-ego or ego by choice amongst the volunteers? Because I think if you want to scale it up the way we have been, or the way you intend, this core value or this core feature has to be embedded in the volunteers. How do you plan to do that? And please don't say that they will have to emulate, because not everybody actually wants to emulate, because it takes a lot of effort, right? So how do you intend to make sure that the volunteers appreciate, understand, and actually imbibe this basic feature, basic aspect of a persona?
To be honest, I haven't thought about it, but recently that issue that we had and your tweet about kinship and your tweet about coming together. I think, to answer your, see, I haven't thought about it that way, that look, you're right, this has to be embedded. And this flows back into that thing about putting yourself behind for a collective cause, right? And so first it's of the shared values and the shared vision. And then on a daily basis, on a daily interactions basis, when there's a trade-off between yourself and the larger vision, then you choose the larger vision, right? So I don't know. This has to be embedded. Then you will see the system, ecosystem like a symphony. Right now, there are a lot of jarring notes because of this situation. And yeah, you're right. It has to be embedded. I don't know. I haven't thought about it as to how this has to be embedded.
Perhaps you will. We need one particular module on Indic Academy which actually makes people realize why is it important, because people who will have the same values as IA professors would have to look at that civilizational continuity too, and civilizational continuity will not come without this particular aspect being ingrained in people. So perhaps you might want to somehow incorporate this thing in all of your modules or through certain projects. This is just a suggestion from my end.
No, it's important. Actually, it's a very important suggestion. This will enable the symphony. Actually, there won't be any jarring notes. So this is a beautiful thing. I don't know. Maybe I have to consult my and all that and see that. How this will work out. Sorry?
Thank you so much for taking my questions. If there's an ending note that you would want to share, please do. Otherwise, we are good.
Thank you. Nothing. I think this is truly exciting period, and what this tour has actually seen is that it has become a symbol, sort of a symbol of all of us, and it does become like an icon. And you actually saw this happening, and I tweeted, I sent you and Vivek that McKinsey article, which basically talks about any unbundling a company into three different phases, which is basically the creation or the product or innovation, the logistics and the manufacturing and delivery, and then the brand. And in my mind, the way you worked on the coordination with all the chapters and all that, and ensuring everything is done, and what Vivek has done in terms of the brand and his voice and his expression and how he resonates with the audience and the connect he establishes.
One interjection, my ego is one interjection, my ego is rising. So I wanted to share that the messaging happens, Vivek keeps getting constant inputs from my end because, we have constraints. Sometimes this happens or that happens. So I keep giving him cues on to how the messaging should be. So my ego.
Yeah, of course.
To get some acknowledgement for the brand part too.
So I know the coordination and plus the content for the brand. Sure. I mean, thank you. And then the whole concept of the book should be written, and I thank my meditation for getting that idea and reaching out to him. And so the conclusion point is that each one of us has a particular capability, a skill, an aptitude. So if we just discover that and then work on that, then Renaissance is going to happen. So that's my conclusion remarks. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Hariji. We appreciate your time, and we expect that we will have such conversations from time to time so that people keep on feeling and understanding what's happening. Because sometimes what happens is that if there's no such transparency or awareness because of paucity of time, some people can feel a little disconnected. So this conversation, please keep it going.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for prodding me into this. Thank you. Bye bye.
Namaste. Bye bye.